Get the Friendo Club set up today and get access to over 700 Going In Raw bonus episodes, our monthly Big Blue predictions challenges, and the ability to ask questions at Going In Raw. We also offer the Steven Larson comic book and exclusive Friendo Club t-shirt. Just hit join here at youtube.com/Steven Larson or go to patreon.com/Steven Larson to sign up. Hey, Friendo, Steve here.
Mel Larson.
And welcome back to the Steven Larson Pro Wrestling Podcast, ruining pro wrestling podcasting since 2014. WWE Night of Champions from Riyadh, Saudi Arabia is in the books, as is the last time we'll see John Cena versus CM Punk in a wrestling ring, fighting it out. Overbooked finish to the main event. We also have new King and Queen of the Ring. No big surprises there. Cody Rhodes and Jade Cargill are your King and Queen of the Ring. We do also have a brand new, this weekend we got both United States Championships changing hands. Not only did Julia win it on SmackDown, but Solo Sikoa won it from Jacob Fatu after the debut of Talatanga.
Hikuleu.
It's Hikuleu. But I think they refer
and the
to
return of Tonga Loa, too.
And more importantly, perhaps, the return of
Tonga Loa. There's the recap. We're done. Have a good day, everybody.
Oh, man, this is a deep dive situation.
Oh, my goodness. I guess we might as well start with the main event, I guess, yeah.
Probably a good idea. A lot going on there.
Yeah, that's a way of putting it. So the match was happening. And then overbooked stars started. We had a ref bump. We had Seth come out, taking his sweet time. No urgency to any sort of cash-in attempt.
So this was crazy to me. Yeah. So Cena did the thing where he was going to hit Punk with a title, looks around, looks at everybody saying, no, you shouldn't do that. Elects to not do it. And then they start fighting again. Punk ducks out of the way of one of John Cena's
shoulder
elbows.
tackles.
Shoulder tackle. Yeah. Ref eats that, goes down. Punk hits a GTS. No ref there. But Seth Rollins' music eventually kicks in. The set there in Riyadh, the stage, is WrestleMania size. It's huge. So that ramp is just massive. It's like, I don't know, 50 yards. It's really long.
Pretty long. Yeah.
It's really long. Maybe 30. I don't know. In any event, Seth and his crew, instead of running down with any sense of urgency. And so I'm kind of curious, okay, I understand the motivation should be, I'm going to cash in, but you kind of wouldn't know it given his demeanor. It's just the most meandering cash in.
Commentary is he here to cash in or just to cost CM Punk this match? Because there was zero urgency. Maybe the idea is, well, Seth's done it before. He did it by himself. There was urgency then. This time he's got Braun and Bronson with him.
Yeah.
Doesn't necessarily need urgency.
Which is valid. And that's what I thought when he was like, oh, okay, so he's just thinking that, his crew is going to, on top of that, if you cash in on this match, it's a triple threat. And what do we know about triple threats?
I mean, there's a lot.
No DQ. It's no DQ.
Oh, no DQ, yeah.
You can use your dudes.
They're good matches. A lot of times triple threats are
They're good matches.
Which would have been an improvement over what we got before all the overbooked nonsense.
It would have actually been a better match if it was a triple threat. Yeah.
So then Seth says to Braun and Bronson, go attack him. So they start attacking him. Eventually, Punk's laid out. Seth's in a position where he can cash in maybe on Cena. So he gets the briefcase and he waves for a ref to come down. Little Nate comes sprinting down the ramp, and then John Cena goes and pounces him on the floor, sends him into the ring steps. Hell of a bump by Little Nate. Bump of the night.
I would say bump in the night, but I'm not going to put that above the 10 we got from Karrion Kross earlier in the night.
7 bumps.
It was 7. Okay, it was 7.
Bumps.
Yeah.
So then more craziness. We get Penta out there. We get Sammy out there. And it leads to Punk and Cena kind of working together to take out Bronson.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
After Bronson's looking to hit a tsunami on Cena, I believe. Punk pushes him off the top. So I don't know why Punk's doing this. You're in the middle of a world title match. He goes to shake John Cena's hand. Cena shakes it. They hug. Cena stares right in the camera with the same look he gave The Rock when he turned on Cody at Elimination Chamber. tries to kick Punk in the front area. Punk catches it. He's looking for a GTS, escapes that. Seth gets back in the ring, ends up hitting Punk with the briefcase, plus a stomp. Leads to Cena getting the win. Really, really overbooked. There's a couple story beats. Cena ditching the title, and then the little bit where he and Punk are working together to fend off Seth and his heel faction. A little bit of character development. Prior to the overbooking, the match was not very good.
So that's why I'm fine with the overbooking. Look, number one, I'm a sucker for an overbooked match. I like that stuff. People, it's like, oh, this guy comes down, this guy comes down. We almost got a 50-yard haluva kick. I thought that was cool.
Well, wish we would have.
I know. That
made all the sense in the world.
Yeah. That being said, the match, look, these guys they're not in their early 30s anymore. This is 15 years later. They're old and they're jet lagged, and it looked like two old dudes in there, and history and chemistry can only take you so far, I think. And so I welcomed it. If the match itself is really not living up to incredibly lofty expectations, I mean, this is Cena Punk, and so the marquee value of it, takes you some of the way there. And so, yeah, inject some intrigue with it. What's Seth doing? Is he going to cash in? Is he just coming down there for mind games? Is he going to fuck with somebody? I'm a fan of that because it's just adding intrigue and injecting some story and some ongoing drama into what otherwise was an underwhelming match. So I'm fine with all that stuff. And then on top of that, they want to protect CM Punk in this loss. And so John Cena ends up kind of stealing a stomp, if you will. Seth Rollins hits after Cena and Rollins go at it a little bit. Like Cena's like, get out of here. And Rollins like, maybe I'll cash in, maybe I won't. Seth gets he gets thrown out, but then he gets back in just for a stomp. Cena steals that for the win. I actually like that over whatever it was we were getting in the first place, which was just, sort of a slow, plodding old dude match, and it just wasn't all that terribly compelling. At least this adds some entertainment value to it.
It does. But I feel, it's been a couple pay-per-views now, at least, where you made a joke of it last month when you won predictions. Where it was, we had the choice of making your picks. Pick something that would be interesting if it were to happen, or pick the safe kind of boring route. You went the safe kind of boring route. And I just kind of feel like that's a problem that's kind of plaguing WWE pay-per-views for the most part, is you could see what's coming. And seeing what's coming is not necessarily a bad thing, because that means, the stories you're telling are logical. It makes sense. A to B should lead to C.
Yeah.
But it's all about how it's presented.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like far too often, like there was an opportunity there. I'll use this as an example, and I'm not going to quibble about the outcome at all, but it feels like there could have been a way with Roxanne getting involved in the Raquel-Rhea match that could have advanced the story between Roxanne and Raquel somewhat. And it was just Roxanne comes out, tries to get involved in the middle of the match, gets taken care of by Rhea. Doesn't play into the finish whatsoever. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, all right, Roxanne's willing to help Raquel. Well, we know that. We've seen that already.
Mm-hmm. What's the next thing?
What's the next step? And I know Triple H loves to take his time with telling his stories, but sometimes, especially on pay-per-views, come on, give us some of these steps. Give us some of these story beats so we see how these characters' relationships are changing or evolving, or the tensions rising or abating. Like, give us something.
Well, okay, here's the thing about that particular example. We know that Roxanne, if she's in the building and already booked for a match, will help Raquel. But will she go the extra step, get on a plane, go all the way to Saudi Arabia, find somebody to make her a full bodysuit, and then help Raquel? And now we know the answer to that question, and it's yes.
All right.
She'll go the extra mile, Larson.
Fine.
Dude, look, I know what you're saying, and I agree with you. I feel like in the case of Cena and Punk, though, because the same thing, we can say the same thing with Sammy and Cross. It's
there was no story development there, really.
It wasn't. It was all just Cross yelling at Sammy, hey, admit that you're a liar, admit that you're a liar. And then Sammy, he keeps on hitting him with lariat's coming from the corner, we all know what's going to happen. Sammy's going to follow him and haluva kick, which he did. But in terms of the specifics of the Cena match, I'll put it this way: towards the finish, I knew Punk wasn't going to win this title, but it did set up, okay, wait a second. Is this going to be the impetus for John Cena's face turn? Is there going to be a situation here where Seth somehow does cash in? Is Punk going to walk away with this title and that's going to cost John Cena? I mean, because that entered my head. So, like, towards the finish, I was like, okay, how's this going to go down? Neither of us had Punk losing because of a Seth Rollins stomp on our card.
Well, I don't know about that specifically, but if you'd said Seth is going to try to cash in and it's going to cost Punk, I'd be like, yeah,
sure.
Sense.
But in terms of the details and like watching it go down, look, if it was a matter of would I rather be entertained by an overbooked finish or would I rather continue on with what we got, which was ref bump, Cena probably hits Punk with the title, which is the same thing we've gotten before. Yeah. And then we get that. I know what I would rather have.
I'm not disagreeing with that. At least they threw a bunch of stuff at the wall, to make it a little bit more interesting as opposed to like what we got in the WrestleMania this year.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
I understand that. I guess I'm not necessarily speaking specifically about that match, just kind of their approach to their premium live events as a whole.
Big picture, yeah.
Where I know we can't get surprises, or huge cliffhangers at every show. Give us progress with some of these stories you're telling.
Yeah. And
that's more my thing. Yeah, of course Seth is going to cost Punk. Of course.
The Rhea thing is hilarious because it's like, dude, come on, and I know you picked Raquel, but you're also trying to go out on a limb here.
Oh, I had to because I was behind. I was trying to make up some points. That's why I picked Raquel.
But like, they're never gonna have Rhea lose in Saudi. Like, they love her in Saudi Arabia. It's Saudi Arabia. Look, to this day, and it's funny because back in the day when this deal was first announced, and we were kind of wondering, okay, are these shows gonna be like canon? Like, are they gonna be doing stuff in these shows? And then eventually, like, the Fiend won the title there, and it was like, okay, well, they're actually doing stuff in Saudi Arabia. But originally, it was like the greatest Royal Rumble. It was like, come on, man, they're never gonna talk about this shit. We're never gonna see the title
for winning that, and never saw it again. Yeah,
right, exactly. And so it has entered into a space where these shows do matter. They're like premium live events, but there will be certain conventions that are not going to be, they're not going to buck the trend on them. And one of them is like the people who Saudi Arabia really wants to see. Those are the people that are going to win. Like the big star Rhea Ripley's going to win. Cody's going to win there. Randy against anybody else would win there, but you just can't do that against Cody. And look at Cody kicked out of 2 RKOs.
I know.
That was crazy. Crazy.
Yeah.
But I think that there are certain conventions in Saudi that are still like, well, look, we don't have, this is all Saudi paid for. So there's no Slim Jim ads. There's no ads except for Riyadh season. And so we're going to give them what they want. There is a bit more fan service there than you'd get at other premium. But I think you're right in general. Like, the premium live events generally these days, they do kind of tend to play it safer than, we don't get a whole lot of twists and turns.
No.
So, but I mean, dude, I don't know. Hold on a second. The last one, we got R-Truth.
Yeah.
They brought back Killings for that one. So I know. I understand what you're saying. Triple H takes his damn sweet time with everything.
And again, I'm talking about not individual moments. I'm talking about the shows as a whole. Like, you could point out a moment on any of the last shows of the last 12 months. Be like, oh, come on. Well, this happened. This was a huge surprise. But usually it's a singular thing amongst the 3 to 4 hours of the show you can really point out. Like, tonight it was Tongaloa coming back, Hikuleu making his debut, and leading Solo to beat Jacob Fatu, pinning Jacob Fatu to win the U.S. title. That was like the most surprising thing that happened on the show.
Dude, honestly, I just feel like you need to live by these words. You enjoy the show, man? It's all part of the show, man.
It's not my job. It's not my job to sit here and enjoy the show. It's my job to watch it and analyze it. And I just feel like far too often it's just like, all right, I know it's going to happen and happen. All right.
Listen,
without story progress. Again, predictable, logical storytelling. I don't mind.
Mm-hmm.
Just give me a little something out of these matches. I'm like, oh, that's intriguing.
I got 4 words for you.
Enjoy the show, man. Yeah. Not my job, Steve.
I'm not saying that. Triple H is saying that.
Well, I don't listen to Triple H.
Oh, okay. Well, anyways, let's go ahead and dive into the nitty gritty. The premium live event opened up with, I don't even know where my notes are right here.
King of the Ring finals.
King of the Ring finals. That's what it opened up.
Randall Keith Orton versus Cody Rhodes. So, of course, Randy, not that long ago, actually probably like a year ago, so I can't remember exactly what it was, returned after being out for a while with a significant back injury. And so what does super babyface Cody Rhodes do? He attacks Randy Orton's back throughout this match.
Yep.
It actually gave kind of, I don't know, I wouldn't call it a babyface promo afterwards. So anyways, finished this one, saw they're trading shots. Cody's looking for a Cody cutter. Instead, Randy hits an RKO. Cody kicks out. That's the second one he kicked out of. So then Randy goes and grabs a chair from the timekeeper area and brings it in the ring. And Little Nature's like, no, you can't do that. And so while Little Nature's putting the chair away, Orton goes and takes the top turnbuckle cover off. So he tries to send Cody into it. Because remember, Randy said, I'm going to do whatever it takes to win this tournament and beat Cena at SummerSlam to win number 15. So he's cutting corners. So he tries to send Cody into the exposed turnbuckle. Cody blocks it. And then Cody shoves Orton armpit first into the exposed turnbuckle. Armpit first, hits Crossroads, his second of the match, and covers and gets the win.
The lat nerve.
Is that like where, like obviously you know the story of Achilles, the Achilles heel.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Is Randy Orton's Achilles heel. The lat nerve.
It's the lat nerve. Yeah, because, right after that. My favorite, though, was earlier on when Randy tried to give him a diamond cutter. Because here's the thing. If it's out of nowhere, if it's a snap like that, RKO. If you meander up to a person and then slowly try to apply the cutter, it's a diamond cutter. That's what that's DDP's use. There was something like at one point, I think he did a diamond cutter out of the Giants choke slam. In that case, it would be an RKO, right?
There's a couple times where there's creative implementation.
Yeah, they did some cool shit with that.
But sometimes he just goes grab somebody's head, run in place a couple times like he's Roadrunner from the Looney Tunes cartoons, and then hits it.
If it's a standard episode of Thunder, then you're going to get that. If it's Nitro main event or pay-per-view creative, you're going to get a diamond cutter out of nowhere. Anyways, so Randy tries for the RKO, and Cody just has it so scouted. He immediately just he just sort of very slowly puts him into position for Crossroads. Yeah. And then hits it, and Randy kicks out. But eventually, thanks to the lat nerve shot from the buckle, we get another Crossroads. Cody gets the win on that one. And then afterwards, Aldis and Pierce are in the ring. They give the crown to Cody. Byron interviews him. He was like, you know what? Just want to give thanks to Jey Uso, one of the best characters in all of WWE. Randy Orton, he's the best. He says, he's facing either Punk or Cena, depending on how it turns out tonight. He was like, I get how you feel about me, but I was born to do this. Whether it's Punk or Cena, they're holding the title for me because of SummerSlam. I get the ball back. And you see Randy in the background, still selling lat nerve.
And steaming. He's hot. He's
hot. He's steaming. Not happy with that, with what happened there.
Well, I mean, again, because the way that Cody was kind of putting things in his promo, it can come off a little bit condescending here. Come on.
I mean, it's just sort of Cody, man.
It is Cody.
Condescending, babyface. That's sort of how he is.
It is how he is. So next up, we had the street fight: Raquel Rodriguez versus Rhea Ripley. This match did not go outside the ringside area. Did tumble over into the timekeeper area, however.
Yes,
the top of the announce table somehow got put over. Like the stretch of barricade on either side of the timekeeper area, and then Rhea got put through that. It was all set up for a kind of precarious, but fairly creative and ultimately well-executed finish, where there was a table introduced to the ring by Raquel, I believe, and it's propped up in the corner. So it's sitting there for a while. And she's looking for a Tejana bomb through it. Rhea then reverses that until like a Rana that sends Raquel towards the table, but she blocks. But then she hits Rhea with the boot, and then Raquel takes the table and puts it on top of the top rope. So it's just sitting there on the top rope. So then Rhea pushes her into the edge of the table. They go up there to the top of it, and Rhea hits a riptide off the table. That's on the top rope, and Danilo, the ref, kind of has to hold it so it doesn't slide off the top or gets too wobbly or any of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I don't know what kind of leverage he had on that thing because he just had like one hand on it.
No.
It was kind of outstretched. So I'm like, yeah, that ain't going to hold it in place.
No.
But yeah, I was surprised this thing held together the way it did. And the move looked really, really good.
Mm-hmm.
But backing up a little bit, we did have, like we mentioned, Roxanne Perez coming in out of nowhere trying to help Raquel. Rhea starts chasing Roxanne around, hits a basement drop kick. Rhea grabs a trash can, she puts it on Roxanne, and then hits a shining wizard on that. And so
that's the last we see of Roxanne.
That was the last we saw of her. And then Raquel tried to take advantage, but Rhea was able to get the better eventually. So Rhea's booked really, really strong, like ridiculously strong. But you got to think Roxanne getting on a plane, full body suit creation, taking that shining wizard. That's got to show Raquel, hey, I got both these titles. Aldis and Pierce are undecided, but let's go ahead and make the decision for them. Give one of those titles to Roxanne. Isn't it going to be the thing?
I appreciate that you're trying to look at it with the glass half full type of thing.
Hey, you're asking for stuff to happen. I'm illustrating that stuff is happening, Larson. That's all I'm doing here. Anyways, after that, speaking of things
that's more dramatic than, oh, you ate a shining wizard with a garbage can over your head.
Okay, dude, how can you use any negative connotation for a shining wizard garbage can spot, man?
Because
if you took one of those for me, I'd be all about you, bro.
See, I'd be like, oh, you took that for me and I won the match? Awesome, you're great. You took one of those for me and I still lost? What are you even doing here?
Damn, you are demanding, my dude. You're demanding.
What are you even doing here?
Hey, speaking of demanding, a lot of people are demanding Karrion Kross do some back bumps, and we got 7 of them.
7 of them.
In this match against Sami Zayn. So it was reported by Sean Ross Sapp from Fightful Select that the whole Karrion Kross doesn't like the back bump stuff debunked.
Yeah, shocker, huh? Real surprising.
Hey, this is where we came in and we were like, this sounds stupid, and it's probably fake as shit, and it's right before this dude gets his first premium live event. So, you know, man, I couldn't imagine being like Karrion Kross. Well, number one, I couldn't imagine because he's in phenomenal shape, very successful guy, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
But waking up one day and seeing some dude, some dirt sheet saying, I was talking to people and they said he didn't like the back bump. What the fuck?
That first bump he took when he gets sent out of the ring was like textbook.
Yes, it was. Well, pat.
Yeah,
just
textbook
like that.
Bump.
Like, come on, man. This guy's been busting his ass on social media. He made an entire feature-length documentary on himself. It's like 500,000 people watch this thing.
Yeah.
And people are like, oh, you don't like the back bump. Nah.
He's putting the work in.
Listen, whatever bitter person is feeding this to whatever dirt sheet that was, get out of here with that. That's what I say.
I know. It's nonsense.
Nonsense, Larson. Nonsense.
And while we got to see Karrion bump a bunch, we did not really get any story development here. You got some small detail of story development here, Steve?
Oh, wow. Okay. Okay. Yeah. I did notice when Karrion Kross was saying, say you're a liar. I think you were looking away. I think you're like, not paying attention. But Sammy was like, maybe a little bit. Maybe.
I know for a fact that didn't happen.
Yeah, maybe it didn't.
Nice try.
Not
really. Anyways, so let's talk the finish here. This match is pretty straightforward up until the end, where Sammy's looking for a haluva kick. He gets caught with a cross jacket. Cross grapevines Sammy. Sammy starts to fade. They do the raising the arm thing to see if he'd passed out. Of course, the third one he just barely stops it, gets his arm up. And then
didn't you say, let me ask you something. I didn't notice this, but I swear to God during the stream, didn't you say, oh, his hand did hit the mat?
It did look like it hit, and then he brought it right back up.
There you go. There's your detail. They're going to reference that on Raw tomorrow.
Oh, that Cross is like, oh, I had you beat your hand. I ain't going to say shit about that. So Sammy forces a break, and then Cross starts screaming at him, what's wrong with you? Hits him with a lariat in the corner. You're a liar, admit it. Another lariat. Just say you're a liar, looking for another hit lariat. Haluva kick from Sammy. He gets the win.
Yeah. Yep.
We get a video package for the Rumble in 2026 being in Riyadh. And then next.
That's a Sami Zayn Royal Rumble right there, man.
You got to think so.
Who's going to win on the women's side in Saudi Arabia? Oh, it's got to be Rhea, right?
Yeah, Rhea probably.
Probably Rhea. After that, all gas, no brakes. With it, we have Jacob Fatu, know what I mean. U.S. title versus Solo Sikoa. We have ourselves a Sacramento bloodline, man. We got Solo Sikoa, born in Sacramento. JC Mateo, resident of Sacramento.
Used to live in Sacramento, yeah.
Yeah. Talatonga.
I don't believe Tongalo or Tamatonga or Hikaleu are from the area. But Jacob Fatu is from the area.
Jacob Fatu's from here, yeah. If he was with the Sacramento bloodline, they call it the 916 bloodline. That's what they'd have to do. In any event, this match, yeah, I mean, it's, Jacob had this match basically in hand. And then JC Mateo comes running down that big old ramp. Distracts the ref. Tonga Loa returns.
Yeah.
A neck breaker. Figures out in the moment how to do a neck breaker again. Hits that on Fatu. Solo covers. He only goes 2 on that one. He goes for a spike after just yelling at Fatu for way too long. So Fatu is going to duck it, which he did. And then JC is sort of kicked away into the corner, as is Tonga Loa. And then Jacob Fatu goes flying out of the ring onto both those guys. Gets back in, pop-up Samoan drop to Solo. Mateo gets in, eats a hip attack in the corner. And then Fatu hits a moonsault on Solo. Now, the ref is still, trying to figure out what to do with JC Mateo. And so he doesn't notice Hikaleu, who I think Michael Cole referred to as Talatonga, drags him out, chokeslam Jacob on the table. Hikaleu looks great these days, too.
Yeah.
Rolls Fatu in the ring. Solo's happy about that. Hits the Samoan spike on Fatu. Solo covers. And a new U.S. champion. Solo Sikoa. Very happy about that one.
Yeah, I was happy about that too.
Somebody pointed out Solo Sikoa has a hell of a record in Saudi Arabia. He's pinned Roman Reigns there. He's pinned...
Was it Cena? Did he beat Cena?
Was it Cena there?
I think so.
That wasn't the one where it was like the
13 spikes, wasn't it? Or the bunch of spikes,
I thought that was a Mania. That wasn't a Mania? Maybe I'm wrong about that. In any event, yeah, Solo Sikoa doing good there in Saudi.
It was at Crown Jewel 2023.
Okay, well, there you go. There you go. So, yeah. After that, we had Queen of the Ring.
Jacob's totally getting that title back.
Oh, that's happened at SummerSlam.
SummerSlam, yeah. He and Jimmy are going to start working together in some capacity.
It'd be nicer if they waited a little bit longer, give Solo a bigger title run, but I kind of feel like it's going to be SummerSlam.
It's going to be pretty quick, yeah.
Yeah, that wouldn't shock me.
Queen of the Ring finals was next. Jade Cargill taking on Asuka. I think this was the shortest match of the card.
Yeah, it was.
It was 8 minutes.
This was
8
and a half, I think, yeah.
Pretty short.
Yeah, it didn't give it a lot of time.
No. Jade gets the win. She blocks a hip attack and hits Jaded to get the W. And then afterwards, she's awarded the crown. Byron interviews her. She says, "Byron, when I first came into the tournament, I felt like the world was on my shoulders. For the people out there down on themselves, praise yourself because you're fighting for the booze. Don't let them tell you who you are. The grind doesn't stop, and the storm is coming to SummerSlam." She very briefly puts the crown on her head.
Yeah, I don't think she left it there though.
No,
Nia was wearing that thing left and right.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. Maybe she didn't want to mess up her hair. I don't know, but she put it on very briefly, put it back up. Cody didn't come anywhere close to putting that.
No, he held it over his head. But
he held it over his head. Everybody was teasing it, but they didn't really
approach.
So obviously it's going to be her and Tiffany Stratton at SummerSlam.
And Naomi's totally cashing in.
She's walking out of SummerSlam. The only question is, will Jade have a short reign?
No, because Naomi wants to deny Jade her reign. It's going to be a triple threat situation.
All right, there you go. You heard it here first, people. Then we have CM Punk versus John Cena as our main event. Yeah, like you said, before the overbooking nonsense here.
It was at best match happen territory.
Kind of like jet lag match. It felt.
Yeah,
I mean, they're
they're
old
spots. Yeah,
they're old. It's not. It will be kind. I mean, that's going to be one nice thing when Cody gets his title back, because Cody's younger. Cody's quicker.
Yeah.
It's not going to. Even it's if they do like a prolonged Seth Cody feud, Seth is younger. Seth is quicker. They got to start doing some youth. We need some youth up there.
Well, fear not, Steve, because we're getting Goldberg in the main event, their next major show.
Hey, you know what? Just get through that one. And then you got Gunther. Maybe he can switch brands, mix it up in that main event scene on SmackDown. Younger, quicker, better. But yeah, we got to sweep away the Goldbergs, the Cenas.
The Punk?
I didn't say that.
No, okay.
Anyways, we already talked about how this finish went down with Seth getting that stomp on CM Punk and then John Cena capitalizing and getting the 3 count afterwards. Cena hightails it up the ramp. That dude bolts.
They show a replay and Cena's already at the top of the stage, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then we get a little overrun, which is basically just Seth leaving with his guys and then Punk trying to sit up. And getting the crowd to egg him on to sit up. So it was a fun little moment.
It was fun.
And that's your Night of Champions.
Yeah.
Kind of a light show. And so we actually did put up some question threads because we figured that,
we need to fill this episode out a little bit. Again, if there's meatier stuff happening during these matches with more story stuff, there's more for us to talk about.
Man, I don't know. I agree to disagree. We have a new champion. Debut of Talatanga. We had a new King and Queen of the Rings. A lot of story here. I don't even know if I'm joking or not. Maybe I'm not.
Shavon here says, how much is too much overbooking? I mean, it's a subjective thing. Steve loves all the overbooking. He would probably wanted more overbooking in that main event.
Yeah, tonight was just tip of the iceberg. Like Penta comes out. Sammy comes out. Why stop there? Jay comes out because he likes Sammy. That brings out Jimmy because they're brothers. That brings out Solo because he's trying to recruit Jimmy. That brings out Jacob because he's still steamed.
Brings out the Talatanga and Tonga Loa.
Right, exactly. And
JC.
then who still has problems with Bloodline? LA Knight. He also gets the biggest pop of the night. Where was he? He should have been on this show.
Yeah, why wasn't he on the show?
He really should have been on this show.
Unless there's a dozen people ringside, Steve's like, not over.
Well, let me ask you, well, no, you already sort of gave examples.
What?
I was going to say, you're asking for more intrigue. What would some of that intrigue be? But you already sort of talked about some of that.
Yeah.
If, for example, the Cross versus Sammy, if Sammy had teased being a heel, that's what you're looking for, right?
Or even Cross putting him in the position where he had to make a choice,
Yeah.
Puts
Puts a knife down in the ring is like,
something,
go ahead.
If Cross's whole point is you're not the good guy that you come off as, put Sammy in a position where he has to either prove himself right or prove you right.
I will tempt you with these vices.
Something, yeah.
Okay.
At least give us that moment where Sammy has to make a choice.
He chose to kick his head off.
Yeah, he did, without, honestly, much trouble.
He ate like 3 Stan Hansen lariats in the corner.
Yeah, and then
then just ran at him.
Yep, just ran at you. Put my foot up. Done.
Put my foot up. Shadow says Cross and Raquel losing were probably the most obvious, but also incorrect choices. I guess Cody and Jay the only good guys facing real hardship.
Cody faces hardship.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like this isn't even a question. It's just sort of a gripe in question form.
See, going in, I didn't think Cross had any chance of winning, but at least give us something from a storyline perspective. Be like, at least Cross can have something he can hang his hat on, Didn't even get anything close to that.
Okay. Number one, his presence at the premium live
talking
event.
about in terms of the stories they're telling with the character, not for him as a person. Obviously, him getting a pay-per-view match is great. I'm happy. But in terms of advancing the stories they're telling, this match did nothing.
All right.
That's my point.
All right. Fair enough. Starman says, what's next for Cross after this?
Oh, he's probably backstage a bunch. Another year and a half before his next pay-per-view match. I don't know. The match was fine. They weren't given a lot to work with.
Oh, they weren't.
It's not like he was given an opportunity to showcase, all right, go out and put on like a banger with Sami Zayn. They weren't even given that chance. This is probably the second shortest match on the card.
Well, let me double check that. I mean, look, here's the thing, man. I love Cross. Don't get me wrong. That's a little much to be asking, isn't it? Go put on a 5-star match?
I didn't say a 5-star match. I said a banger.
Well, you said a banger. A banger is a really good match.
Yeah.
Well, if you think he can do a 4-star?
I think if he can wrestle a match in his style, it's a possibility.
Man, I don't. We've been saying that for 6 years now.
Yeah, because
I think what we saw tonight was wrestling in his style.
That's for his WWE wrestling style.
So he had one accidental Future Stars wrestling match where it looked like he knew what he was doing. I'm joking. I'm so joking, but I'm also kind of not. Like, you know, they do the WWE thing. Like,
yeah.
You know.
Let's see here. Greg Morris says, would it make more sense if Cena simply said he had gotten addicted to winning and hadn't in so long, so that's why he turned? I mean, really, the only thing that kind of made things weird is that he seemingly aligned with The Rock, and The Rock never showed up again.
So looks like this is middle of the pack.
Oh, all right.
This match was 13 minutes, 35 seconds.
What, Sammy and Cross was?
Yes, sir.
Wow, I didn't feel that long.
So this went longer than Solo Jacob, and it was on par with Rhea Raquel.
Wow.
Cody and Randy and John Cena, CM Punk were the longest matches. Yeah.
Not surprising.
Yeah, Rhea and Raquel was only 25 seconds longer than this. Otherwise, well, yeah. Right. 13. Look, what you and I have said this before. You could do a lot in 13
Absolutely.
minutes.
It felt shorter than that watching. It did not feel that long.
It did feel shorter.
Aiden here says, who's more likely to turn heel after this show, Randall Keith Orton or Cody Rhodes? Well, based on how Randy Orton was acting, probably Randall Keith Orton. Based
on business metrics, Randy Orton, 1,000%.
Yeah.
I don't think he liked that. Because you need something for Cody after SummerSlam. Nick Kyle says, how will the feud between Seth Rollins and CM Punk end for good? What is going to happen in the last episode of Seth versus CM Punk? Is it possible that like 2 years from now, 3 years from now, Seth retires Punk?
Yeah, that's possible.
I think it's possible.
Jack Showtime, our new Money in the Bank winner.
Yeah, Jack Showtime is our Money in the Bank winner. So congratulations, Jack Showtime. This is now his, once he cashes in,
the briefcase.
I will send this to him. The physical item will be sent to him. So congratulations. And then the hat's on its way as well. So this is a hell of a bounty.
It is. Heavy duty.
Yeah.
Jack Showtime here says, can we get a cheers to Pachiti's last stream over at our friendos at Cultaholic?
Yeah, man.
Pachiti's
Love
great.
Adam Pachiti. Did his last Cultaholic live stream today. So that's awesome. Good luck on whatever comes
Best wishes
next to you, man.
Exactly.
I'm thinking it's going to be, I don't know if I told you this or not, but I was watching, I happened to be checking out, it was last week, I think, one of his last Twitch streams, the Tuesday ones. And he had mentioned on his Instagram that he was going to go through all the old requests that he never did. And he said, including Steve and Larson asking for numberjacks. So I went in there and I was asking people, did he do numberjacks already? And so he was like, yes, I did. But then he reloaded and did more numberjacks. So I'm hoping, once again, inspiration hits. He pitches the BBC a relaunch of numberjacks. He can be the new number taker.
There you go.
You know, but not everybody takes my advice. It's crazy.
Square root of -1 just says, what the bleep was that main event?
What the fuck was that main event?
Not a fan, evidently.
Not a fan of that main event. Yeah, it was a mess. Big old mess.
Too much overbooking for square root of -1.
Maybe. He was like, they were putting on a banger. What? Just let him finish.
It was a technical classic they were doing.
Yeah, right? A couple of Zack Sabre Juniors out there.
And then we had to get all this sports entertainment nonsense.
Blake Whitehouse says, is Cody Rhodes a waste of a King of the Ring winner given he just pinned the WWE champion last month? Look, either you do King of the Ring and it's got stakes like a title shot at SummerSlam and you're going to get a main eventer, or you're going to use it to build up a new guy and they're not going to do anything with that except give him a shitty King gimmick.
Well, no, I mean, like, if someone from Raw won, they'd get a match against Gunther. Or Goldberg, if Goldberg walks into SummerSlam champion.
Yeah, but, regardless, Gunther's going to get a main event level guy.
Yeah.
So, it's one or the other.
I guess the idea is Cody, instead of pitting the champ, already has a way of justifying a title shot without having to win King of the Ring.
Yeah, but, like, my general point is sound. Like, there's one of two ways you could do King of the Ring. Give it to a young person, they're going to get saddled with a shitty King gimmick. Give it to make the SummerSlam thing, the stakes, it's going to go to a main eventer.
I guess the idea is you could kind of have it both ways. Just because you have, like, for example, if they were doing more with Braun Breaker, he wins King of the Ring, gets the title shot against either Goldberg or Gunther. That is a situation where you have someone who was already a mid-card champion before they were henchmen for Seth Rollins, maybe on the precipice of getting more. This is their opportunity to launch him into the main event scene. And there's no shitty King gimmick because they're getting the title match at SummerSlam, albeit against the secondary world champion.
Are you saying you wouldn't want to see Braun Breaker do a spear with a full cape, crown, and scepter? Because I would.
Yeah, but after SummerSlam, no more of that.
Well, yeah, I feel like the King Queen thing is going to have that's one thing I like about it. Because of SummerSlam, I don't think anybody's going to be rolling with the crown after that.
No, and I don't think Triple H would be like, oh, we're going to put you with a King gimmick now. No, he's not going to do that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, look, Braun Breaker would be great, but they're not doing anything with him. Like,
No, they're not.
So, I mean, that's the thing right now, dude, is that, like, and I'm talking about if you're actually analyzing the landscape of where WWE is. Not, oh, it'd be cool if they did this. Yeah, it'd be cool if they did a million things. But, like, what do they do? You're going to get one of four people. You're going to get one of four people. You're right.
Yeah.
Randy, Cody, Jay, Sammy.
Yeah.
That's who it's going to be.
If Seth didn't have the briefcase, his name would be in there too.
Yeah, right. That's your main event level right now. So if you want King of the Ring to have a real stakes, a shot at SummerSlam, the way they do things right now, you're going to get a name that is going to be your main eventer. It's not going to be a surprise.
Listen, you sound like a Triple H apologist there.
I'm not. I'm saying be real. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying I like it. I'm saying this is what it is.
Who won last year? Gunther? That was a situation where that was his launching pad in the main event. With Jade, this is her.
The women are different. Oh, I'm not talking about the women.
Okay.
The women are way different. He does not book that for the women. Because you're right. If you look at Jade, Nia, I thought Nia was a good pick.
Yeah.
Because Nia was doing really good work.
Yeah. But by that point, she'd already been women's champion.
Yeah, she'd been women's champion, but like, I don't know. It didn't feel like who, I forget who she was in the finals against.
It was against, I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't remember. But in terms of the men, that's why, dude, the men right now, they are, and this is the furthest thing away from being an apologist. They do have a youth problem.
Oh yeah.
Like, who the fuck who's next? Like,
they've done a piss poor job of building up Braun or Carmelo or.
They have.
Yeah.
Like, here's the problem, dude. Those two names, those are the guys that they should really be super focusing on. And look at where they're at.
Yep.
Yes, it might take one moment for Braun Breaker to break through and look at Seth Rollins in a weird way and be like, oh, there's something right there. But like, that hasn't happened yet. And I don't know if it's going to happen in the next year. If he keeps on doing cool shit, then the fans will continue to grow around him and stuff. And maybe every little thing will be overanalyzed. But that's two names, man.
Jacob Fatu, and he just lost the U.S. title.
Yeah, Jacob's a name.
Next year, if Jacob Fatu wins it.
A year from now,
that's a situation
Jacob,
where someone has been an upper mid-carder, they use this to catapult them into the main event.
How old is Jacob? Is he over 35?
He is 33.
He's only 33. Wow, boy, he's been wrestling for a long time, huh?
Yeah.
And he's only 33. Yeah, he's a great name. Yeah, they're doing a good job with him.
Yeah.
I'm kind of curious where Solo's going to be like 5 years from now.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know either. I wonder if he's
I
going
don't
to be
think he's going to have a long title reign with this U.S. title.
Oh, no, not at all. Not at all. I mean, Hikuleo was young, I think.
Yeah.
Depending on how he
Tongalo
pans
is
out.
not.
No, those dudes have been around forever. And NXT has a lot of bright stars there.
Yeah.
Are they going to all end up like Carmelo? I find
Yeah,
it
I
difficult to believe that they'd Carmelo Hayes with Obafemi. You know?
I know.
I find that really hard to believe.
I know.
Same with Trick, to be honest with you.
I know.
So, yeah, I mean,
but then again, like the way they're booking Trick is similar to how they booked Braun when he was in NXT. Oh, you get your run as a face, you lose the title, you turn heel.
Yeah.
We get some. You get some time on both kind of ends of the heel face thing.
Do you think? Let me ask you this: do you think, considering what they have in NXT, a year from now we're going to be looking at the youth of WWE and being like, because they'll be on main roster at that point?
Yeah, Trick will for sure.
And it'll be like, okay, they're on the right track with the younger guys.
I don't know, because of what we've seen, specifically with NXT call-ups. Of late, it's not that great of a track record in terms of building people up to be main eventers within the course of a year or two.
Who's
just
been
not
called
there.
up? Who's been called from 2.0? Like, okay, we have Waller. We've
He ain't
had
doing shit.
Yeah, he ain't doing shit. We've had Carmelo. He's not really doing shit.
Dragon Lee ain't doing anything.
Oh, Dragon Lee ain't doing nothing.
JD McDonough's not doing anything.
But then you do have names, and this is going to be interesting where they end up. But like, Penta and Phoenix, where are they going to end up?
Yeah. But those aren't NXT names. Those are people they brought in.
No, I know, but like, I'm just talking about in general the newer names that have been brought to main roster. But you're right. Like the NXT call-up situation has not been great.
No. Like I'm looking here in the men's division specifically and trying to find that's a success story in the last couple of years.
Yeah,
Can't really
right.
find one.
Yeah. It's like Braun Breaker, and that's it. And even he's not really.
Yeah.
It's not like he was given the Kevin Owens treatment.
Or the Finn Balor treatment. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think the women are fine.
Yeah.
Like, number one, the main eventers are relatively young anyways.
Yeah. And then Julia just won the U.S. title on SmackDown.
Yeah.
And it's not going to be long before Stephanie and Roxanne are going to be winning championships.
The women's division is so deep between that and NXT. It's a deep. They're going to be fine for like a decade. They're going to be fine.
I mean, also you look at NXT, and in NXT they have a problem building main eventers in the men's division. That's been a problem for a while.
Yeah.
So I don't know what the deal is.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was joking. I wasn't serious when I called you a Triple H apologist. That was a joke.
Well, no, because I do. Like sometimes when you talk about you want to see more intrigue in it, I can see the side of, well, we did get stuff that happened. And look, part of it is like, hey, let's just have a conversation about this.
Yeah.
But also part of it is, and it's always good to have like, hey, it's good to have both sides, I think, represented as well. But I think it's also not a bad faith argument to say, hey, you look at what happened tonight, and you can point out plenty of things that did happen. But from your point of view, I agree with that too. I think that there should be more nuance and intrigue in the little things, because that does help build character, and they're Easter eggs for people to look at and down the line and be like, oh, this happened here, so this makes sense that it's happened here.
And I think especially if they're doing a very straightforward, logical, if you want to call it predictable way of approaching some of their stuff, it's the details that provides the meat to it. Because like, oh, this person won. I saw that coming 1,000 miles away. Oh, but that happened. That's interesting.
Yeah.
And that's the stuff I'm talking about. Those little things that seemingly nowadays are kind of premium live events, kind of, I won't say kind of a rarity, but it doesn't happen. Seemingly, there's a lot of times where they had opportunities to give us a little something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Add a little twist or a little dimension or a little depth, whether it be the character or the story. And it's right there. And it doesn't necessarily have to alter what they're doing in terms of the outcome of the match or anything like that. But it would help flesh out the story, and they just don't do it.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about, oh, Hikuleo showed up. That's nothing. That's not what I'm talking about. It's the little things that will provide some depth to some of these more predictable outcomes to make the outcomes interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I just don't feel like there's opportunities there to do this stuff, and they just don't do it.
Yeah. No, I don't disagree with that. But I think it's a fun conversation to have.
Yeah, for sure.
Anyways, that's going to do it for the show today. Look at us being diplomatic, apologizing to each other and whatnot.
Look at that.
We don't need that. That's going to do it for the show today, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. We appreciate everybody who hung out with us during the live stream, raised a bunch of money for the ACLU.
Yes.
So that was really awesome. Thank you, everybody, for that. We appreciate it. And then we'll be back, I think, probably Monday for a show of some sort.
Do some show on Monday, yeah.
Got to do something on Monday. So it's because Raw's early. The reason why we say that is because Raw's early.
Yeah, 3.
So we'll see. If there's like nothing in terms of news, then we'll probably just end up doing the Raw review and, I don't know, figure stuff out.
Something out for Tuesday. Hopefully there's news on Tuesday. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see.
We'll figure it out.
Anyways, thanks, everybody. Till next time. See you guys around.
Goodbye.